Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you to juries. Don't forget to give out the forms back to the volunteers or to Elena herself. Thank you for sticking up with us. We have a slight delay here on stage. You probably already noticed. We're trying to make it up. But yeah, switching to the great news, we have an absolutely amazing panel discussion coming up. Absolutely one of my favorite topics. Every single time I'm getting any kind of information from our lead speaker, the moderator, I'm always captivated by the way she shares her perspective, so I'm really hopeful you're going to like it as well. So this is going to be very interactive. You'll see the way she leads everything. But let me start with introducing that we were going to have the Ukrainian panel, Lessons Learned in Turbulent Times. And our main presenter and our moderator of the whole panel will be Elena Malitskaya, the CEO at ISE Accelerator. The very, very big patron of the Ukrainian startups, of the Ukrainian ecosystem, and one of the biggest stars of Ukrainian leadership in the startup area. Elena, welcome on the stage. Oh, sorry, once we finish with the arrangement.
Алло, алло.
Can you switch it on?
Он работает, просто не сейчас еще.
Еще не надо, не надо.
Ну там сейчас, вот, ребята, там везде звук. Наверное, сейчас не работает.
So it's a little break while we are warming up. I am kindly asking our hosts to put a video about Ukraine so you can warm up and actually keep your thoughts for Ukraine. And then we will start. So please, video one. just, what about the panel? And actually, you can see it from my outfit, which becoming already signature outfit for Ukrainian panel, right? So how many Ukrainian startups do we have here in the room? Can you show your hands? So, and those other people just attendees, not from startups. So guys, you should consider starting startups because there is some financing for this and more opportunities, and it's a great way to travel. So I will start from introducing myself, and then I want to introduce one by one our panelists, because our panel has very specific logic. So speaking about myself, Elena Malitskaya, who founded Corporate Accelerator. Before the war, we've been doing accelerations in Ukraine, empowering corporates to work with startups. Now it's more hard to work with corporates, so we're basically working with startups and doing partnerships like in Central Eastern Europe. And we have plenty of opportunities for startups, which we found out here. And that's why I was asking about startups, because we are looking now for great Ukrainian startups whom we can bring to Rimini, to Italy, on 15th, 16th, 17th of June, together with Wolf Summit. This is an opportunity to showcase, to be present in Expo at the We Make Future Italian Expo. So if you have Ukrainian friends here or Ukrainian startups, please pass this opportunity to them, and they can speak with Alexandra Samukhina, who is here in the first row, and we can form Ukrainian delegation. I will repeat this information after the panel once again. So now I want to let you know what is actually our accelerator and what we do. So please put a second video 2, IC Corporate Accelerator, and then we come to panelists.
ISC Corporate Accelerator is a leading Ukrainian innovation provider. We collaborate with Ukrainian and international corporations, which are looking for innovative solutions and are ready to experiment with new technologies. ISC Group focus is to build partnership between corporations and startups. We held our startups with new clients and prepare them for fundraising. Having 2 programs in parallel for startups and corporations gives us great synergy. It allows to engage top managers into mentorship.
Our first program is ISE Booster. This is full-service accelerator for startups on different stages. We work with idea, pre-seed, and seed. And our goal is to move startup to the next level. To help them, we give them full technical support, mentoring, and assistance within 8 areas. Our second program is ISE Corporate. We work with large businesses and corporations all over the world, and we help them to implement innovation agenda. And that is why we know everything about what they need and what they want. And usually top executives are very happy to join our program and to mentor startups and teach them how to set pilots with corporations.
We designed acceleration program that will help to achieve practical and measurable results and resolve specific tasks. It consists of webinars, mentoring, bootcamp, and final pitch day. Together with the startup team, we draw an individual roadmap and develop go-to-market strategy. The most important and unique advantage of ISC Acceleration Program is setting pilots and corporations for our startups. We provide startups with appropriate challenges from large companies, help to prepare the pitch for top management, onboard, and then choose the type of partnership and launch the pilot. We stick to fun and value, sharing, networking, and focusing on achieving goals in our approach to work. We are proud of our alumni and their successful tractions and deals. ISE Corporate Accelerator is your way to success.
So it's been already almost 500 days since the war, the full-scale invasion started, right? And almost 9 years as it actually first appeared in Crimea and Donbass. And the topic that we want to raise, how actually Ukrainian ecosystem keeps moving, why we're still alive, why we still work, and actually about our progress and what we are now. And basically in 2021, just before the invasion, we showed the highest rate of investments in our venture industry. So we raised about $1 billion. And still in 2022, we are still active. And, you know, we became something like metaverse ecosystem or something like fluid ecosystem because we know more in Ukraine, but we are all over the world, you know, everywhere. So we've changed, but we're still Ukrainians. And that's we want to discuss. And I made this panel inviting our speakers in special logic. First of all, we have external view, the view from Google, actually on our ecosystem, because Google had about 300 interviews with our startups, and they have a lot to share what they think about externally, and actually we never prepared the answer, so I don't know what to expect. It's super, super spontaneous. And we have also views from within ecosystem. One is from corporate. I will introduce you our panelists, and one is from Scale Up, actually, who is dealing with this situation now. So it's very pretty much logical, and it's different points of view on the ecosystem during the war and where we are now. So first, our panelists, I am honored to invite our esteemed guest, Michal Kramers from the Google, head of Google for Startups and CE. And he is actually, Michal, come closer to me, because actually I want to tell the story how I met you. He is maybe, I don't know, the second or the third person in Poland whom I met, because I arrived something like 15 or 16 March of 2022, and the second day they called us and come to Google, let's speak. So basically it's just, you've seen me in this very stressed when we just arrived, but Google already had in mind the program to support Ukrainian startups, which emerged, and I mean, that really gave good impact, right? And as I know, even more they have for the next year. So we are really honored, and we really appreciate the support for Ukrainian ecosystem and taking care of us. So I please welcome Michal with a round of applause. Have a seat where it's comfortable, anywhere. Our second speaker is Scale Up and Startup. He is co-founder, Mikhail Mirsnichenko is our mentor, and he is really great in FinTech. And I want to invite on stage Volo Budanov, who is co-founder of startup Wallet Factory. And while Vladimir making himself comfortable, we can see video number 3 about Wallet Factory, and you can just more or less understand what he's doing. The guy is in 25 countries. He was almost stolen in Kenya. He had some experience in Belize, some adventures in Afghanistan. So you guys will learn how to scale up in weird times, in weird places. Video number 3, please. Thank you. So this is more for you to understand really who we are and who those people, because Google really doesn't need video. Yes, I think you can Google it, but all of us probably need. So, and our third esteemed speaker is from corporate world. He was Chief Innovation Officer from Philip Morris, and he has also plenty of, maybe all of Ukrainian corporates as the clients for corporate innovation. Pavlo Riste, please welcome. Pavlo, make yourself comfortable. How to better speak with from this side or from that side. So you can see this. So let's start. The topic today, do you have all microphones, Michal? You have? The topic is actually what we have learned, right? How was it? Lessons from turbulent times. I mean, I don't know what I've learned. I mean, I've been in stress last 500 days. Frankly speaking, I'm still there. So, but maybe, Michal, are you ready to start your opinion? So what you've seen? So many startups come through your funnel. So you've seen how much? 1,700 of applications, 300 interviews, and you awarded 58 startups, if I'm not right. Please.
Yeah, so you kind of said already my first sentences or two sentences. So I will take a step back a year ago. So a year ago and 2 months ago. So when in February the war escalated, because we all know it didn't start in February last year when the war escalated, when the invasion happened. We were thinking as Google for Startups team how we can support the Ukrainian ecosystem and support the Ukrainian people. So literally Google did a lot of things in terms of supporting, with maps, with help, with google.org, with different things. But we as a team, which basically operates also a campus in Warsaw, the physical space, were thinking how we can actually help Ukrainian people. And we said, okay, let's try to do the thing that we know best, meaning help the startups, because that's what for the team is created. And when we said, okay, let's try to launch a fund that is going to provide non-equity funding for the founders so that we can help, we took a look at the ecosystem. We said, okay, roughly 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 startups, taking a look at the different metrics. I know it's a big spread, but we thought, okay, we will announce the fund. We'll see, maybe we're able to help a couple of startups this way. And suddenly within the first, I think, 2 days, 500 startups applied. And then within the next, next couple of weeks, months, 1,700 applications we received. So we said, okay, that's a huge number. We were planning to do it in a way that, okay, we will announce all the startups that we're able to help immediately, but we actually needed to even split it into 3, because basically the applications were still flowing and flowing and flowing, and we were analyzing it. So basically what we did is we selected around 300 startups for the applications, and then out of this group we've selected 58. And the number is maybe not very equal number. We were planning to help 50, but by the quality of applications, we said, okay, we're not going to be able to give $100,000 to every startup, meaning $5 million fund. We will actually, to some of the startups, give a little less money because they are, for example, bigger and they can, continue the operations, but they need different things, like publicity, knowledge that they exist still, they continue, etc. So we said, okay, this way we are not able to support 50, but we're able to support 58. Which is, additional 20% more or less of the startups. And because of the quality, we said, okay, these are the startups that we will help. And what struck us was the motivation of the founders. Everybody was dialing in for the interviews that we were having with the startups, for the fund. Everybody was roughly on time. Everybody was kind of, saying, okay, the war is happening, but we are fighting, we are continuing, we are building the business, we want to, create continue the growth of our companies. And this was amazing, because if you're thinking about one element that struck me very highly in terms of the Ukrainian founders is the resilience. Okay, the war is happening, there's terrible things happening, but still, on top of it, we're doing our best to kind of continue the companies, to continue the employment, etc. And when we were doing a wrap-up in March this year of the fund after a year, what happened, we kind of noticed also additional things, all of the startups, or mostly all of the startups, increased their revenue, hired more people, raised funding, which is kind of, in a situation when there's war happening in your country, this is amazing results. Yeah. But I don't want to overtake the whole panel, so that's just the beginning.
Thank you. And actually, you already introduced almost second speaker, because we wanted to discover those resilience, right? Many people say that we are resilient, but in which ways? Many even startups here, they arrived from Kiev just to be part of the event and then go back. And they keep working there under this every day, and every night missiles attack, and they keep working. And we had those blackouts, troubles with electricity during the night in the winter time, and startups still alive. So, and we developed such a speech with Pavlo Rije about actually source of resilience. Yes, we call it Ukrainian superpowers. So please, can you make a presentation, sandbox? Microphone or what? Oh, click. So please check it. So make yourself comfortable standing or sitting, how it's better.
Yeah.
You can sit here.
I can stay or sit?
It's how you like.
I think for everyone will be comfortable. We all sitting, and I will try to do it in my seat. So I will...
you can jump or whatever.
Later on, I think, starting from the slide third, fourth, there will be a jumping exercise there. It was a secret, but okay. So I will not hide the message from my side, and will start from this one, because I truly believe that Ukraine is now in the world is in the best position to be the sustainable innovation sandbox for the world. Yeah, because, and why it is so, actually, I will elaborate.
Yeah, it sounds shocking and surprising.
Yeah, within a couple of next minutes, and with some slides of support about me. This is psychedelic slide, like Elena told me.
Ukrainian design style.
Yeah, I'm actually the corporate guy. I grew up in corporations, and the last 6 years I'm in the corporate innovations. I'm building corporate innovation, entrepreneurship systems, and helping corporations to innovate. And it's not usually almost always not possible without participation and engagement with startups. So it's also about open innovation story, governance models behind that, and different enablers around that. So Ukraine is destroyed. This is a fact, and it's continuously been destroyed. And currently, a latest estimation from the World Bank is damage reach the level of $411 billion. But actually, different estimations give different numbers, but we're definitely talking about a figure which is approximately $500 billion rebuilding opportunity. This is how I would look at the situation. And here, I would love to say that before the war, Ukraine was in a position which was not so far from being a great place to live, but at the same time, it was close, not as close, but definitely not the land of a billion. With the war, definitely we moved a little bit on the left side, and this is a bad thing. And if we're talking about in terms of recovery or rebuilding, we usually think like recovery back to the previous state. My message is like we should go beyond. We should not stop on moving just to the state where we were before the war, because that was not the perfect state as well. We want to go to the state great place to live. So we have to reborn Ukraine, we have to renew Ukraine. And without innovation, without startups, without collaboration between startups and corporations, it's not possible. Ukraine do have its superpowers, and this is, I will give you just a part of the list which justify why it is possible. So we do have an amazing commitment. On this picture, you see the lady. She is teacher, and she is running the online online lesson for the kids, yeah, online class, just from the street during the winter, just because in that place she can reach a free Wi-Fi, because in her house she doesn't have electricity and connection to the internet. So she's extremely committed. We're extremely resilient because we keep coding from the basements of our buildings. We keep running TV and radio shows. We keep running workshops, lessons, etc. We still keep connecting, and we keep delivery to our clients. We keep our promises. Assurance, this is another superpower, and we have now tons of stories about the Ukrainian delivery services, which keep performing and overperforming during the air raid alerts in different cities. And on this QR code, you can see the video of the guy from the Netherlands who is actually making a stand-up on that from his own experience. And he said, okay, I keep sitting in the city, in the shelter, under the alarm attack, that my courier is moving with my delivery, with my order. And he said, if this is possible in Ukraine, what a competitive advantage these guys have in front of compared to delivery services in Netherlands, which are been stuck in can be stopped with any other insignificant versus to Ukrainian reason with my delivery. And it's funny, it's interesting, in a couple of minutes, just you can scan and see. We are creative. We 3D printing components of the bombs exactly on the front line. So this is exactly live screenshots from the video you can find on the internet when our brave soldiers are 3D printing 1 kilometer from the line of the war line, yeah, 3D printing components for the bombs, which are immediately going to the, like say, in action. We are confident. Yep.
This is my favorite one. I mean, after living 1 year in Europe, you know, this is trains.
Yeah.
I mean, I will tell it, Pasha, you can have a break. So when you have a little rain here and your train can be delayed like 5 hours easily. When you have a little missiles attack in Kherson, your trains arrive in Lviv just in time. I don't know, what is this phenomenon called? I mean...
Yeah, it can be called with different words, but I call it CAF confidence, but it's other superpowers are applicable here. So this is who don't know the story, this is a train from Kherson to Lviv, which were attacked with this missile, and this is a real picture from the action.
2 weeks ago, I think, or 3 weeks ago, when we were
It's
preparing.
happened recently, yeah. So missile just hit the train in the train station in the Kherson, and it caused only 14 minutes delay of taking off of this train. And this train came to Lviv just in time with 0 minutes delay. So when I'm traveling in Germany with Deutsche Bahn, for example, and they have certain reasons to delay with their trains, with this case, I'm just saying, hold my beer. Yeah? Agility. This is amazing case when our farmers are not been able to put the seeds in their fields just because the fields are mined. Ukraine is most mined territory in the world right now. 30% of the territory is not possible to access because of the mining. Because of the mines in the land, yeah? And our like farmers were told, like, okay, wait, it will take 30 years or even more to demine our territory. What they said, no, we are not agree with that. We will act by ourselves. And they start creating in their garages such kind of a devices where they take the old tractor, they put equipment on it, the investment in total, approximately $1,000, and this tractor is remotely controlled by the tractor driver, I mean actual tractor driver. This is not made by Boston Dynamics or by some other advanced companies which have made drones for millions of dollars and many, many years of prototyping, etc. 1 month, $30,000 investment, and this tractor is already demining Ukrainian fields. And what is interesting that such kind of a cases start appearing in parallel in Ukraine in different regions. So individual farmers start creating solutions like that. And when I'm saying that Ukraine is a perfect place for the sustainable innovations, co-innovations, I would say like that, what is sustainable in this solution? And why it's better than, for example, just waiting when Switzerland will produce for $1 or $2 million another demining professional machine for Ukraine? Well, the answer is very simple. For the same amount of money, you can have a fleet of tractors like that, which will perform demining, and then you just take off the equipment, demining equipment from these tractors, and these tractors, the same machines, the same tractors, start doing their agricultural work. Versus demining machines, which will be produced, will demine once and will stay in the garage and waiting for another case. And this money will be like freezed. This is what how I'm calling sustainable, smart innovations in Ukraine and with Ukraine. Ukrainian startups keep performing tests with the new kind of engine rockets, for space rockets, which will definitely will be beneficial for the entire world. Another superpower of ours is renewability. We rebuilding these buildings which were destroyed. One of the buildings is Kyiv, both are from Kyiv, yeah? And the first one is 1.5 kilometers from my actual apartments in the Kyiv. I think this is a Chernobylska street in the Svetoshin region, Akademistechko region it's called. And it took a couple of weeks to actually back these buildings to reconstruct them and
livable condition, right?
And in a month or something, in a condition so people can back and start living there. So
this is my favorite. Guys, wake up, it's about sex now.
It's about real-world indomitability, if I may say so, complicated word, but it's about the following. So, under the threat of being burned in the nuclear fire promised by Russia every day, we will use nuke, we will use nuke, we will use nuke, they keep saying, because this is only leverage they have to put pressure on us, instead of being scared, hide and saying, okay, take Donbass, stay in Crimea, let's have a status quo. What Ukrainians said, they united in a few 100,000 community and said, we will make love together in the Shikavitsa hill in the Kiev. So the Shikavitsa is the name of the hill, and this is a word which we are using to answer to any total threat. So when someone is saying, we will kill you, we say, no, Shikavitsa is waiting for us, no problem. So we're answering with love, with total love to the total death threat from others. So, and this is an extreme superpower, and unfortunately, I don't have as strong evidences from other nations who can demonstrate the same attitude. Yeah? So, and with these superpowers, don't you think we are really super partner for sustainable core innovations? And this has been recognized by the global media. They already start saying, hey, Ukraine is already co-experimenting with some defense technologies, with some startups, with some companies, with some corporations in that field. Some global military, so far majority of cases are related to defense, yeah? But I just described to you a case with the tractor, which is kind of a defense, civil demining, but ended up with the agricultural capability, yeah? So far defense, and I would love to read these quotes, but these quotes are saying that we never seen such a speed, such a commitment, such a creativity, such a speed of delivery, such a speed of coding, such a short terms between idea and solution in the hands of actually users of the solutions elsewhere in the world. And this has been said by, for example, the Pentagon's chief weapon buyer, for example. So all these facts, all these superpowers makes me confident in making statement that Ukraine is the best place, best country with the best people now for the role of the global sandbox for sustainable innovations. And I will stay with this slide, and maybe we can challenge each other. You can challenge me with this statement, with some clarifying questions from the other, my colleagues from the board or from you, dear visitors of the World Summit. So this is from my side.
Pavlo, it was just brilliant stand-up on Ukrainian superpower, so please...
Sit up.
Sit
Not
up.
stand up, but sit up.
But anyway, brilliant sit-up. So guys, I think we can thank you for this
thank you.
thing, and I think we should even specially record kind of sit-up, stand-up about Ukrainian superpower. Thank you, really.
Yeah, thank you.
And for foreigners, for our foreign audience, please just make a note, Shikavitsa and address, you know, if you want to have some experiments. So make sure you know where the place is.
If you're brave enough, yeah.
In all terms, right?
Yeah.
So, thank you. So how is startups doing? How is your life, like scale up, startup? So you decided just to go abroad, conquer new countries. So tell us your story, please, Vladimir.
Actually, we are in the middle somewhere. We are not startup already, so I guess we had a success to scale up. We started actually our business 7 years ago. It has been already war in Ukraine, and it were like several enthusiasts who decided to make such a startups, because we are all came from banks. So we created the product that helps big enterprise companies to run digital wallet business. So it's really very complex product. It's not so easy. The market also not so easy, and our prospects, it's really big corporates. But of course, we started from Ukraine, from the Ukrainian market. For us, it was much more easy because it's familiar market for us. We knew many people. We had many doors open. So it was not so difficult to sign the first contracts with some small companies in Ukraine. But of course, we understood that we need to go further. We need somehow to scale up. We need to go internationally. And it was a big challenge actually for us, I guess, for each startup, for each Ukrainian startup. Actually, I was wondering yesterday when I heard that mainly startup is from B2B area, not B2C. I thought that B2C startups more popular, but not. We are also B2B company, and I guess to scale up for B2B, it's even more difficult. So what shall we do? What shall we do to scale up internationally? First of all, of course, you have to choose the market. Usually, I guess that usually companies choose some developed markets like USA, like Europe, because there are so much money there. But talking about our product, we understood that our main markets, it's not developed markets. We tried actually in USA, we tried in Europe, but had no success. Yes, so we decided to focus on emerging markets because our opportunity, it was financial inclusion. 2 billion customers don't have access to the financial tools. So it's a big opportunity for us and for our prospects to launch some digital wallet business on their particular markets. So I'm talking about MENA, I'm talking about Latin America, Sub-Saharan Africa. Then you need to choose, and we needed to choose actually the sales model and the sales channels. For companies that didn't have enough money, enough investments, it's a little bit challenge as well, because you know the sales in B2B market, it's more about face-to-face activity, about negotiations, participation in different events, but it's a huge money actually. We had several steps in this way, but the main channels that we chose that time was just usual search engine optimization in Google, actually. And due to Google, actually, I guess it was some first success. It's come. For sure, we started to receive leads from all over the globe. But then we faced the next challenge because who are you? Who are your clients? It's the usual question from our prospects. And we can say only some small companies in Ukraine or maybe unfamous companies, so it's really trouble for us, it's a really challenge. So we decided to find some brand, global brand, presented in Ukraine and try to receive the deal, because we are operating on Ukrainian market. So we were participated in tender with Vodafone in Ukraine. They was going to launch digital wallet in Ukraine. So we participated with the zero check. So our proposition was zero. So we decided to invest in such a project to receive a well-known brand. But we failed. It was the second choice for the Vodafone, and it was the first choice. But in half an hour, Vodafone came back because the first choice failed in the project. And we delivered this project, completed successfully. And for the moment, it's absolutely, we receive enough income to cover all the costs that we put, and we receive revenue from this project. And we receive the most important, we receive the famous brand in our pocket. So the next stage, we go internationally in different countries with this famous brand. Who are your clients? Oh, Vodafone, Ukraine. Oh, Vodafone, nice. So due to that, we actually signed several contracts. There was new challenges. The first one, more functions, more non-functional requirements.
You want to tell all secrets in one piece. Maybe keep them for a little bit.
Okay. But one more time. There are several challenges. There were several challenges. And go internationally, actually, it's about not only about the product or about the brands that you have in your pocket as your client, but also about the team. Because if you are going to operate in new markets, it's really a new experience for the staff, for your team. And for example, when you are going to work at site in Cairo, because we had a client that was going to launch a project with the support of President of Egypt. So it was very important for our customer, and it was very important to invite us to the Cairo to work during the months. So first time, of course, we find the team and send this team to the Cairo for 1 month. But after this month, it was, we needed to send it one more time, but nobody wanted to go one more time because it's a different country. It's not like Ukraine. It's a different climate.
Come on, it's not a bad weather. Why they complain?
But now, I guess after all these events, we are more strong, and Ukrainian actually very smart and very strong to go globally, to work with different customers. We were in Myanmar, for example, in Vietnam, and we faced many different corruption schemes on their particular market, and we needed to work.
Experience.
We needed to work with such a scheme. So I would say, finally, of course, we need to grow more for the moment, and we had several other challenges. I will say about later maybe, but thank you. This is our scale-up history.
So some takeaways, first of all, still use SEO when you want to find even B2B client. Yes, sometimes it still works perfectly. Then you can make some tricks on tender when you've tried to conquer first client. And the third one, don't go to Egypt, yes, for the first.
Yeah, but now I guess all our staff is ready to go one more time to Cairo for sure.
So let's come to the question of the future of ecosystem. How do you see the ecosystem of Ukraine, actually? I do believe that it's still possible to call it Ukrainian ecosystem, even if we're not all of us physically there. Yes, it's like kind of fluid ecosystem all over the Europe, or it's like Israeli ecosystem. Not all founders from Israel are physically there, but there is some like very specific peculiarities of this ecosystem. And I believe that something like this happening with Ukrainian ecosystem, that even we are Ukrainians somewhere in States or in Europe, we keep helping Ukraine, we are bringing innovation to Ukraine, we are trying to fundraise on behalf of Ukraine to support our R&D teams and people and colleagues who are working there. So how do you see the future of Ukrainian ecosystem? Michal, it's for you first questions. How do you see, like Google, what do you think what will happen with us? How much time we have to survive, or maybe we can have a chance to grow? And so maybe some advice from your point. We have some policy people in here, maybe they can hear you.
Yeah, I'll give you again one retrospection to a year ago. When we were setting up the fund, we said we want to help Ukrainian founders and startups. And we had a challenge because when the applications came, a lot of the startups were registered in Delaware, in Washington, or registered in Cyprus or in Malta, etc. And we kind of wanted to make a universal kind of filter that will help us say, okay, this is actually the target group we're aiming. So what we said is, okay, it had to be a company that before the 24th of February operated in Ukraine or from Ukraine. And of course, there had to be a founder from Ukraine, etc. But why we wanted to put it? Because, you know, it's amazing that, you know, you are Ukrainian, but for 20 years, for example, you're working from Canada. Exactly. And then, actually, you were not so much impacted by the war like as a business. Of course, you know, personally, family, different things, yeah? But business-wise, like this doesn't touch you. Opposite. You can be a Ukrainian founder working with, I don't know, French founder and, you know, Polish founder, operate in Ukraine, and then you have been touched by the situation that happened. Yeah? So the one thing we really wanted to do is like focus on the people, not so much on the business itself, but focus on the people that operated their business from Ukraine before the war, or continue to have the operations. And I think this is super important from the point of view of talking about the ecosystem, because I think that we should be talking not about the Ukrainian ecosystem, but about Ukrainian founders ecosystem. Same as Polish founders ecosystem, same as Israeli founders ecosystem. Like, we are in a global economy, yeah? And it doesn't matter so much from which country you work, provided you're building the value for the economy of the country, for example, you associate yourself with, yeah? So even if the founder is not in Ukraine, but for example, 80% of his team is doing operations from Ukraine, and you have amazing IT talent, same as Poland, same as Romania. Basically, Central Europe has, if you take a look in terms of the numbers, we have amazing numbers altogether in terms of STEAM graduates and STEAM students and engineers. So I think it's super important that all the thing that was shown in the presentation continues to be there, because I think the creativity part is amazing. The motivation part or the resilience part is also super amazing. I will tell you a funny story. One of the recipients of the fund, Andrei, he was going for Select USA pitch competition to Washington. And he wrote us back that he finally won the FinTech category in the pitch competition. They are doing actually financials for the music industry, like maybe not for the music industry, but for the musicians, so that you can get financing for the musical content, etc. But the funny thing, he said, like, it took me, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but it took me 2 planes, 2 trains, 5 taxis, and etc. To kind of make it from Kiev, because he originally sits in Kiev, to Washington, D.C., to meet with, you know, Commerce Secretary of US, pitch in front of them, etc., and win the Select US category. So what I'm saying is that it doesn't matter where you sit. It matters like where you connect. And I think that the Ukrainian ecosystem has a huge value in terms of the people that actually spread across the world and are able to actually influence what is happening in Ukraine from the places they are and they operate. Yeah? And if this motivation stays, and I believe it will stay, this is a huge value not only for Ukraine, but for I think for the global economy as well, like for the global sandboxes as well. Yeah, I fully agree with all the rebuilding things that are to be happen. It's not the case that you will be rebuilding it in a way that it was before. Yeah, it will be super innovative. It will demand exactly this kind of attractors that are created and things, which is, by the way, amazing. Yeah, if you can reuse the stuff, not build it for one purpose only. This is also exactly the sustainable thing. So I believe there's going to be a huge amount of innovation coming, both from Ukraine and to Ukraine. Yeah?
Thank you. And coming back to Sandbox, Pavlo, can you comment on your vision, how you see our future, what ecosystem will be, who can help us, what corporates can do?
Yeah, with pleasure, because actually complementary to the fully emotional thing, like motivation to back to Ukraine for those startups who left because of the war, etc. I see my value to show very clearly, very rational values and reasons to do so with Ukraine. Not just because Ukraine is under the war and the world's supposed to help Ukraine. No, it's included, but I would love to go beyond to very rational field of it. So first of all, there is an amazing green field right now, and I already gave you an example. I keep giving examples on what can be done already right now in terms of the co-prototyping and co-innovating with Ukraine, in Ukraine, which then can be capitalized during the big rebuilding program in Ukraine and scaled globally. To do so, we need not only startups from Ukraine, but startups from all over the world. We need international corporations and Ukrainian corporations participating, because currently Ukraine is missing capacity to rebuild, honestly speaking. Yeah, and this is European Commission is also stating there. We do have funds, but there is a lack of capacity where we could put these funds. Yeah, and that's where the collaboration with Ukrainian companies can make the game. With the tractors, for example, if you think further, we can imagine in Kharkiv tractor plant, which is producing these tractors, for example, we can have Ukrainian and international startups who can help these tractors to be equipped with the equipment for demining and for autonomous running these tractors. And we can imagine some international corporation partners like a John Deere or other tractors producers or demining equipment producers who can then after play the game in scaling of the story in Ukraine, first of all, and globally. So Ukraine rebuilding project can be a very accessible first scaling opportunity for this prototyping and co-experimenting, you know what I mean? That's why I see very clear business model behind it and pure value. Other values, it's costs. You can co-experiment very fast and very cheap in Ukraine. You can co-experiment with many things which is not possible to co-experiment elsewhere because we are dealing with the issues like building from the scratch entire cities. It means that infrastructure is there, energy is there, and sustainable solutions is there. Distributed power generation, renewable power generation, power distribution, peer-to-peer power distribution from neighbor to neighbor. So thousands of new business models and sustainable models, recycling models. We should utilize somehow these millions of tons of building waste, which is now in the destroyed cities, to be turned into the building materials, which will be used to rebuild the city. So, and there are thousands of cases like that. That's why I'm saying it's a perfect place. We see that under the alarms, under the rocket attacks, missile attacks, our people keep doing their job and keep doing their job even better than it was done before. So we have all capabilities and commitment from the people. Yeah. So, and another reason is like the same people, the same corporations can be partners for the global peers who will co-innovate in Ukraine while scaling these inventions made and tested in Ukraine globally. Because we need to have, for a very obvious reason, not only sustainable solutions, but affordable solutions. Because Ukraine cannot afford sustainable solutions ready to use, been developed a couple of years ago, which are currently accessible for the market because they are too expensive. You cannot just on the Ukrainian scale to have some innovative, sustainable like solutions in many fields just because they are expensive. So we need to co-create them, reinvent them if you want, to make them more affordable, if they are sustainable and affordable, then after they are, say from using the word sexy, to deploy globally with these global partners as well. So this is why I see the perfect match between global corporations, Ukrainian corporations, global startups, Ukrainian startups, and of course, yeah, government should play the role there, but the scale is so big, so government have no choice to do it by themselves. They should do it with the private sector. So this is my perspective on that and justification why it is so and how I see the situation, when we're talking about the sandbox, we're talking about really huge and unique offer, yeah? And
you're really unique with unprecedented challenges, you know.
And when people are saying, why we should start now, because the war is there. Yeah, why we should start now? Look, a German government has already made securities for 221 million euros for German companies to invest in Ukraine. They said, go now, and we are already covering your risk related with the investments now, during the war. Some German companies are already committed and signed off to produce, yes, starting from weapon, but already signing off production and co-production agreements with Ukrainian companies. Many companies are silently in a stealth mode testing and prototyping certain solutions in the defense and not only in the sector. In medical sector as well, and so on and so forth. And this is not new for Ukraine because we've been co-prototyping before the war big time with different sectors. Take the medical researches. Ukraine used to run hundreds of medical researches with dozens, thousands of people engaged annually with all top pharmaceuticals companies in the world. We've been running thousands of experiments on learning or teaching neural networks and artificial intelligence engines before the war. In Ukraine, with Ukrainian teams, etc. So this is not something new for Ukraine. This is not like you come and say, neural networks, that people are coming down from the palm or from the tree and saying, oh, show me the neural networks. No, these people are actually building them and making these solutions now available globally. So that's why the very rational reasons to do so in a collaborative way.
And exactly, as accelerator, we've seen several cases when American startups already come into Ukraine. So, and it's not only military tech, it's not only drones, but there are some medtech startups. And tomorrow I've met Polish startup who already present in Ukraine, and they were scaling to Ukraine now during the war. It's EdTech startup. So actually, it's a good thing for startup to still perceive Ukraine as active market. It's a market of 50 million people, which is quite really unprecedented, nothing like this now in Ukraine, and the market is easy to absorb innovation, really. Low barriers for medtech startups, very welcoming atmosphere for agri-tech startups. So you guys, if you are a startup, you might consider this market.
And what is also important, let me add a little bit, so it's more connected with my core duties for the corporate innovations as well. So many corporations are already starting and have an experience of doing the corporate innovations. They do have interfaces to co-innovate with the other corporations and with the startups as well, because it now allows you immediately talking about the scalability, not just have, I do have a proof of concept, or I even need money to proof of concept, and then after I don't know what to do and no one wants to give me the money because there is no proof of concept, like a vicious circle, no? Yeah? So in this case, we're saying, hey, we have a bright idea, brilliant idea, which can be potentially scalable. Why don't we spend certain small money to make a prototype, to test it, and have a valid data which will give us information about de-risking our future investment on the scale. So this is how it works, because the good or product or value in this sandbox mechanism, it's information about how to decrease your risks on investment on the scale. This is what is the good, I mean the product which has been created and sold in this mechanism.
And actually I would add about the expertise, because of course we have so many educated people that receive some education, medical for example, but during the scale-up process you also could receive an expertise. And what we actually receive as a knowledge during these last 7 years, we receive leads from Google from 190 countries, I guess. I spoke with such countries as Mali or Somali or Guyana, all countries. But during these 7 years, we received knowledge about the FinTech. We received actually requests from all those prospects, and based on that, we actually built our expertise. And our clients come in with some requests, mainly don't know exactly what they are going to build, what kind of wallet they want to build. So they need our knowledge, and we can provide such a knowledge during the scale-up process, receiving such a knowledge. And one more thing, it's not about the expertise, it's about the media. I guess our last 1.5 years, shows that the media is very important for the government, for the country, for each Ukrainian people now, because media provides some information about the war in Ukraine. And you could see how successfully we provide such knowledge to the globe. For B2B business, it's very important as well to build the brand awareness, to work with the media, try to participate in different kind of events, and based on this awareness, you could scale up as well.
Thanks. So organizers given us a hint that it's time to wrap up. But as you see, every of our panelists can give like a lecture, right, of what's happening in their perspective. And maybe some conclusive remarks. What do you see for the future? I think, Michal, I will speak about you because you guys will continue ours, right? I mean, it's important information for everyone that I wanted you really to elaborate more about it.
Yeah, so, in terms of our continued support, we will continue supporting the startups that are the recipients of the Ukrainian Support Fund. We also, based on the fact that we're the European team, we need to focus also on, not only on Ukrainian startups, but we are launching several programs that are happening during the year that are like enabled for Ukrainian founders. And the good thing is that the health tech you were talking about, actually, just today, we announced that there's going to be a Growth Academy program for health and actually for AI in health, which is kind of the big connection of how we can really help in the health industry. So I encourage also Ukrainian startups that are doing the health tech topics to apply. You can find more on LinkedIn or on our Google blog posts. But this is one element. The other element, it's like now it's health, but we are working on different verticals. And I think one of the mentioned already here, like topics, which is edutech, which is super important in terms of not only like Ukraine itself, but globally, like access to the knowledge and access to education is super important. Yeah, and even the slide you were showing about this lady teaching the kids from the street, but also even the startups that were pitching on the previous session, like a lot of the startups are really doing now the educational topic. And I think this is super important from 2 points. Like 1 point, access to knowledge and kind of leveling the playing field for people to be able to have access to knowledge regardless of the place you're in the world. That's one element. The second thing is speed of learning thanks to this kind of things. This is super important. And also it's going to be a big opportunity for I think for Ukraine, because you have a lot of good education topic startups. I think that's also a chance to go not only from Ukraine towards 1 or 2 markets, but go globally with the products. Yeah.
Thank you. And probably I want to thank you to our panelists and make a group picture of us and maybe those Ukrainian startups who are present here, right, Alexander? So do we have photographers, Anna? Yes, we have. Yes, please. This is final remarks. And just while we are on stage, we'll take 2 more minutes. Thank you to everyone. I mean, it was really insightful and I hope fun and useful entertainment. Put me in center.
Yes. One more? 2 centers. So 1 more, please.
And what important is the visibility of Ukrainian ecosystem. Guys, stay for 1 more minute. So I also invite Ukrainians who are in the room to join us on the stage. Please don't be shy, just come here, especially
please don't be shy, but make it very fast. Run for it, guys.
It's important to
it's
show
one opportunity of a lifetime, so make sure you're there.
If you're a Ukrainian startup or Ukrainian attendee, please welcome on stage. Don't be shy. Exactly. No worries, come.
Everyone? Yes?
What's happening?